Hello folks and welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be looking at playing Anachronox in 2024. Now why am I looking at this game? Well, recently I saw talk of possibly remastering the original Deus Ex, and then they spoke about Anachronox again, and I realised that had been many years since I played it. Now, being a very old Windows game, you're going to find some issues with playing this game. So we go ahead and open it here. What you'll see is that I have played it for a while, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up in its default state from GOG. Now, I would recommend buying it from GOG because there's no DRM. The EXE, for example, is completely unlocked. So let's go ahead and start it up and just see how it looks in its default state. So here we have the intro to Anachronox. Now, in GOG, you can get it to automatically run in full screen, but I'd still recommend applying the full screen patch to the game. If you don't want to watch the intro, feel free to skip ahead, but I'd imagine a lot of you won't have seen the intro to this game. But you can see what the base level of graphics are like without any mods or patches to the game. So this is the opening area of the game. You might want to turn down your mouse speed a little bit because it can make looking around quite difficult because it's so quick. So in the default version of the game, which runs on a modified version of the Quake 2 engine, it will only play in 1280 resolution. Which, as you can see, makes the game not look amazing, and like the facial features and stuff are quite blurry. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to save here, and we're going to exit the game and install some mods and patches that should bring the game more close to modern standards. I'll show you how to do that now. Okay, so by typing in Anachronox mods into any search engine, likely one of the first ones you come up to will be ModDB. So if you go ahead and click into that, what I prefer to install, so most of these patches will already be in the GOG game, and they will fix various crashes and whatnot. But the ones I would recommend getting are the Anachronox widescreen fix and graphical enhancements 0.3. So what these do is this adds a lot of upscale textures and things and facial animations and whatnot, and it fixes a lot of graphical errors in the game. So if you go ahead and download those, this one's quite big. This is over a gig. Well, I say it's big, it's not really big these days. And this one's tiny. So if you go ahead and download them, then you're going to go into your Anachronox folder, which I'll show you now. Now, one easy way to do that, if you're struggling to find it, is you simply go to Manage Installation, and you click on Show Folder, and there it will be. So what you want to be doing is, if you go across, if you have both windows open at the same time, and go to your downloads. So Anox Wide, you just basically need to open it up, find your resolution, whatever that may be. Mine is 1080p. Go in there and just copy those two files and just pop them into the folder. Replace the files that are in the destination. When you open the game, it will then be running in 1080p. Next up, and this one takes slightly longer because of the amount of files, you're going to want to open graphical enhancements, go into Anox data, copy all of them, open up Anox data in the actual game folder, and then paste those files in. Slightly longer, like I said, but that will provide a wealth of graphical enhancements, as well as the biggest one, which is a resolution boost. So we'll come out of that now. We'll go ahead and launch the game and see how different it looks. So what you'll now find is that the resolution on his face, for example, and on the surrounding environments is higher than what it was before. As well as, you might not notice this, but a lot of textures in the area have also been somewhat cleaned up. Now you can also add further enhancements to this game by going to the NVIDIA control panel, turning on things like forcing anti-aliasing and whatnot. Doesn't always work, but it can help to clear up, for example, transparency meshes such as this here. So now, what's it like to play a game like Anachronox in 2024, having done all of these enhancements? Well, for one thing, the mouse movement is smoother now. It seems to have perhaps implemented a new form of direct input. So when we go into this room now, we can then get on and get all these little bits here. You've got to pick up your camera. So this is also somewhat of a review of the game. It's kind of a mix between a Japanese RPG but with Western sensibilities. That's the best way I could describe this game. Here you have a lockpicking section. So you simply press the space bar and you need to match up the number. So there we go. So if you go 7 on this one, so it's close to what the number might be. So maybe it's 9 or 0 or 1 or something. Let's try 0. Oh, I guess it's 9. Now, some of the lockpicking sections are obviously much more difficult. This is quite an easy one. It's kind of the first one to get you into the game. There we go. So that's that done. So then you go into your room here and you pick up the bits that are left behind, like your money. You need to do these bits in order to progress to the next area of the game, where you'll then learn how to fight enemies and whatnot. Another thing you might notice is that the game is quite dark, so you may need to adjust the exposure on the screen, adjust the gamma, contrast, brightness, whatever. Some of these sections are, like I said, quite dark. Now, I haven't played the game before, although not to completion. I can quite easily see, I know where I'm going, sort of thing, and I know who to talk to in order to progress the story. I'll skip through all of this, but it's just to kind of show you a bit of the wider area of Anachronox. In the original game, you could only save at these little chaps here, but it was patched to allow you to save anywhere. It is a PC game after all. And if you try and leave this area without doing those things, Fatima, who is your AI sort of character, who is a dead girl, but you've got a digital reconstruction of her, she'll get pretty annoyed with you. And now you're going to suffer the wrath of saying something nasty to someone. Now, this patch also fixes some sound issues where, for example, music would just cut out or certain sound effects wouldn't play. So it's got a turn-based combat system, which could feel old by today's standards, but actually plays very nicely, to be honest, in this game. You can move around the area as well as part of that.
Was it something I said?
Yeah, to my sister.
Uh-oh. So this game has a really great cinematic feel, from the opening cinematics right until later on in the game. The feel of the game is excellent. It's truly a game that could really do with a proper remaster. However, despite getting amazing reviews at the time, it did not sell well. Hence why Ion Storm ended up going out of business, despite also making the excellent Deus Ex. This game is regarded not less fondly, but less often, I would say, than Deus Ex, despite being somewhat of a cinematic masterpiece, really. And once you install these graphics enhancements, and there are more that can be done, but I haven't done every single one, but there are more. For example, there's even an RTX remix mod for the game, which will bring in ray tracing. One of the things this mod does, like I said, is clean up textures and signs. So the signs all around this area would have been very blurry before, because they would have been designed to be played on perhaps a 15-inch CRT monitor, not a 47-inch TV at 1080p. Now, there is the odd crash and whatnot, but nothing like it used to be. 3D sound doesn't work anymore. It's as you can see. Most of us don't have EAX extensions and whatnot, which I kind of miss because they made the games have quite an interesting soundscape and whatnot. Now, you can run this game at crazy frame rates if you want to, but I prefer to just leave it at about 60 because it is an old game. Here we go. Now, there is loading sections in certain areas, but being a PC game, it doesn't load that often and the loading isn't very long. Obviously, using an SSD will make it quicker, and if you're playing on a computer in this day and age, I wouldn't recommend using a normal hard disk, although this game will run fine on it. This game is full of moments as well that genuinely make you somewhat think and be upset. So you talk to this little robot and he says, I'll fling things into the fountain for $1. I'll fling your trench coat. I'll fling anything for $1. Doesn't matter, I'll do it. I'll fling myself down there for $1. Then his friend says, that's illegal, dude. And he says, are you serious? And decides he'll do what he wants. Turns out, boom, he's dead. And then you talk to her and she says, he was my friend. Now, if you hadn't spoken to him, he probably wouldn't have done that. So, whilst it's sort of a little bit funny, it's also introduces a little bit of sadness to the game and a little bit of depth, and doesn't really have any effect on the story, but it shows a bit of a level of depth there to the game. Now, what you want to do is go in here and learn about the fighting and whatnot, and I'll show you that briefly, but I'll also have a little explore around the other areas, just so you can kind of see the makeup of the game. So this Nox guard here is blocking this because there's been a murder down there, but there's more areas you can go to down there as well. So how does the gameplay hold up in 2024? Well, it doesn't hold your hand, that's for sure. You need to remember what people tell you so you can actually go and know what you're doing. If you don't remember what people told you, you might struggle a little bit, and it might be of benefit to you to get a walkthrough for this game for certain sections where you have to get a helmet, for example, for a Nox guard, and you have no idea how to do it. So in this area here, this is where you would learn about the fighting. So I'll show you that briefly. So this will show you how to actually get involved in the fighting in the game, and how it works, and how it's got a similarity to traditional Japanese RPGs, but with a Western flair to it. Back in a time when Western RPGs were very different to this, think Baldur's Gate, like Icewind Dale, that type of thing. So it tells you everything about it and that. But I can also go through some of these bits, show you how similar to Japanese RPGs those mechanics are. So you would hit, or you can try different attacks with that button. This one will help you move. This one you can use things from your inventory, and this is a special attack. But you press on that, you pick your enemy, and boom, you shoot him. Now he's going to come and have a go at me. As you can see, a traditional sort of RPG mechanic in the game. So another issue you might face in playing this game is, for example, getting lost in the areas, or little weird glitches like this.
Was it something I said?
So for some reason,
To my sister.
it's gone back to that other cutscene. Now, whether or not it will just come back to this correctly afterwards, I don't know. So, but this is good for you to see.
There's a special introductory offer in Temple Being up the street. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to brush up on those self-defense skills, don't you think?
So perhaps it's going to go back to this and we'll be done. Let's put up the screen. This is a kind of shield you can put on yourself. It's going to put it up on my sort of lifeless body over there. So we'll see if it just goes back to normal after this. If not, you probably have to just reload from an earlier save. So it's worthwhile doing saves on this game quite often, because even with all the patches and stuff, there's still random glitches like this. I haven't actually encountered this glitch before, so this is new to me as well. You can see the different areas of the game loaded in together. So I survived my first lesson.
Yeah, to my sister.
So will it bring me back to where I need to be, or will it just keep me stuck in there? Maybe it'll just keep playing this over and over again. We'll see. I may have to reload an earlier game.
Brush up on those self-defense skills, don't you think?
Okay, so I guess I'm kind of floating in the environment right now. Right, where am I now? I'm above the environment. Will I drop back in? Because if I can drop back into the environment through a glitch or whatever, then perhaps it could be okay. But no, I think I'm going to have to reload an older save game. So that is the kind of thing that you might find happening in this game. And that's if it'll even let me load. Here we go. Okay. So this is an example of why it's worth saving often in this game, because it's put me sort of all the way back here. So I won't make you watch that again. So, should you play Anachronox in 2024? I would say yes. It doesn't require a powerful PC, and with the right enhancements, including the RTX Remix mod, you can actually get a pretty decent game, pretty decent looking game, even if it isn't obviously up to modern standards, as it is a game that is 20 years old now. However, if you do choose to play this game, you'll find a storyline that is universe hopping and truly different to what you'll find today in most modern games. It's an excellent storyline, excellent characters, wonderful music, and the graphics with these enhancements aren't terrible either. It's fully playable in 2024. Just make sure you use the Good Old Games version. I have both Steam and Good Old Games, and I can confirm the Good Old Games version seems to run with less issues. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you would give me a like, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel, share this video on social media, and feel free to check out my Patreon. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you go and play the game, and I hope you have a great day.